A plain white envelope addressed to me, with no sender. This was the beginning of everything. I am Lydia, and I will soon turn 60. I divorced my husband 15 years ago due to his infidelity. Since then, I have been living alone, but for the past year, I have been living with my second son and his girlfriend, Maria. My eldest son, Owen, who is turning 35 this year, lives in an apartment near his workplace. One day, while I was peacefully living my life working part-time, an envelope with no sender, addressed to me, arrived. When I opened it, it was an invoice from a hotel.
What? What is this?
Upon closer inspection, the invoice was not addressed to me but to Owen, and it seemed to be a bill for wedding and reception expenses. The invoice date was about 2 weeks ago.
What does this mean? Does it mean Owen got married?
Indeed, Owen had a girlfriend, and I had met her once a few months ago. But at that time, there was no talk of marriage, and honestly, I didn't have a good impression of her. Her name was Madison, I think, and she kept saying things like and without making eye contact with me. Could it be that Owen married her? I hurriedly called Owen's cell phone, but he didn't answer, probably because he was at work. So, I decided to leave a message on the phone at his apartment where he lives alone. But a woman answered the phone. It was Madison. When she realized the call was from me, she said in a thoroughly exasperated voice,
"Oh, I told Owen to cancel this phone line."
What do you mean? Did you two get married? Are you living there together?
I couldn't help but ask quickly. Madison responded like a robot.
"We got married. We are living together. So what?"
So what? I received an invoice from a hotel addressed to me. What does this mean? I haven't heard a word about you having a wedding.
Madison calmly replied.
"Oh, it has already arrived. I sent it to you because I want you to pay for it."
Madison continued.
"We chose a venue where we could pay later. We paid the deposit, but I thought you could cover the remaining amount."
What? She had a wedding without inviting Owen's family and expects me to pay for it?
I was so stunned that I was at a loss for words. Madison, sounding annoyed but clear, said,
"Owen insisted on marrying me, so I did him a favor. I refused many times because having a mother-in-law around is a nuisance. But he kept asking me to marry him. So naturally, you should pay. If you don't, Owen will be buried in debt. Is that okay with you?"
Hearing her cold voice, I snapped back to reality.
What does Owen say about this?
Madison replied.
"He agrees, of course. Oh, and don't bother trying to contact him. I've blocked your number on his phone."
So that's why I couldn't reach him earlier.
Madison continued.
"Let me make this clear. Do not contact us unless it's for a wedding, funeral, or other formal occasion. Oh, but please don't invite us to any events that require money."
Wait a minute. Why are you avoiding me so much?
Madison retorted.
"Of course, I'm avoiding you. A mother-in-law is nothing but a thorn in my side. Besides, you're poor because you got divorced, right? We don't want you to ask for money."
Panicking but also angry, I retorted.
If you think I'm poor, then why send me this invoice?
Madison cut me off.
"That's a separate issue. Just pay it."
With that, she hung up the phone. I stood there, holding the receiver, stunned.
Mom?
My second son, Matthew's voice, brought me back to my senses. I realized that several hours had passed since that phone call, and I had been standing in the dark room. As soon as I heard Matthew's voice, tears welled up in my eyes, and I explained everything to him while crying. Matthew, too, had not heard anything about Owen's marriage and was furious after hearing my story.
This is unbelievable. And Madison, she seemed like a nasty person, didn't she? I thought she was a good match for Owen, though.
Yes, Owen had always looked down on me, perhaps because he was doted on by his now-deceased grandmother. By middle school, he was calling me names like old hag and bitch, and he, his grandmother, and my ex-husband continued to treat me horribly. It was Matthew who always stood up for me. After my divorce, Matthew, knowing I would be lonely living alone, invited me to live with him and his girlfriend, Maria, in their apartment. He is a kind son.
What should I do about this invoice? It's over $20,000. I can pay it with the alimony from my ex-husband, but honestly, I don't want to. I was hoping to use it for your and Maria's wedding or for raising children.
Matthew and his girlfriend Maria have always been very good to me. That's why I had decided to use all the alimony and property division money from my ex-husband for these two. Matthew said,
That money is yours, Mom. You don't have to use it for us. And using it for Owen is out of the question.
He took the invoice from me.
I'll throw this away at work. Mom, remember all the things Owen has done to you? You must not pay this.
No matter how terrible a son he is, Owen is still my son. If the invoice remained in my possession, I would definitely end up paying it. Matthew understood that. Honestly, I felt relieved. 2 weeks later, Madison called me.
Hey! Why haven't you paid? The venue just called saying the payment deadline has passed.
Well, after discussing it with Matthew, we decided there's no need to pay. First of all, haven't you received any wedding gifts from your family or friends? If you get it, you can just pay with that money.
I managed to say what I wanted clearly, despite my nervousness. Madison, however, got even angrier.
We moved and spent all the wedding gifts. What are you going to do about it?
What? You moved? Where to?
That's none of your business.
It was clear that this daughter-in-law wanted nothing to do with me. So, I made up my mind and said,
All right. I'll make you a deal. I'll give you $10,000, and in return, we cut all ties. No contact for weddings or funerals, and we live as if the other doesn't exist. How about that?
But Madison wasn't satisfied.
$10,000 isn't enough. You need to pay at least $20,000.
What? You didn't invite me to the wedding, you won't tell me where you moved, and now you want $20,000? What are you thinking?
That's right. You'll probably only live another 20 years, while I'll live twice as long. If possible, I want all your assets.
That's...
So, you'll pay $20,000 one way or another. Then I'll cut ties with you as you wish.
I didn't want anything to do with her anymore. So, I agreed to her terms. Matthew would probably be angry if he found out. But I didn't want to be manipulated by Owen and his wife any longer. A year later, Matthew married Maria. They were setting up a new home, and although I planned to live alone, they invited me to live with them. So, I gave them a wedding gift and 2 years' worth of rent in advance to help with their mortgage. Then, I got another call from Madison.
I heard Matthew built a house. You helped him, didn't you? Owen is exhausted from working 2 jobs because you only gave us $20,000.
Apparently, she had heard about our new home somewhere. I was exasperated.
But you agreed to that amount back then. You can't change it now.
Shut up. We're having a baby, and what are you going to do about it?
Oh, really? Congratulations. But we agreed to cut all ties, even for weddings and funerals. So, I won't pay a cent.
I had decided not to get involved with her anymore, no matter what she said.
How dare you? You won't get to see your grandchild. You'll regret it.
With that, Madison hung up the phone. It seemed she thought a grandchild would be a trump card to control me. Sure, I want grandchildren. But Maria is 8 months pregnant with twins, a boy and a girl. Sorry, but I'm not interested in Owen's children at all. 6 months later, Maria safely gave birth, and I was enjoying taking care of the twins, though it was quite hectic. Around that time, I received an email with pictures from Owen. It seemed Madison had also given birth, and the pictures showed a cute baby with Madison and Owen. But since we had cut ties, it didn't matter to me. When I ignored it, Madison called, seemingly impatient.
Did you see the pictures? Isn't the baby adorable?
Oh, yes. So, what is it?
How can you say that? I showed you your grandchild's face out of kindness.
So?
It's your eldest son's child. Shouldn't you be sending some congratulatory money?
Didn't we agree to cut all ties, even for weddings and funerals?
Yes, we did, but normally, parents would send some money or gifts.
I knew it would come to this.
No, I've decided to stick to our agreement.
Seeing that she wasn't getting anywhere, Madison handed the phone to Owen.
That's between you and Madison. It has nothing to do with me. Pay me the congratulatory money.
His logic was impeccable, as always.
It's your eldest son's child. Shouldn't you be treating him well?
According to Owen, how I treated their child would determine how they treated me in my old age.
You don't need to worry about my old age.
Oh, so you're planning to rely on Matthew? Do you think he can take care of you with 2 kids of his own?
I'm not planning to rely on Matthew either.
Then what are you going to do? I know you only got a small amount of alimony from Dad. You should be sucking up to us now.
Feeling triumphant, Owen said this. I replied,
I told you, I'll be fine. I've been paying into a private pension plan since I was single. It's an old plan with a good rate, so I'll start receiving about $800 a month from this year. Plus, I've worked for a long time, so I'll get about $800 a month from the government pension. Combined, I can manage.
When I told him this, Owen seemed shocked. After a moment of silence, Owen said,
That's only if nothing goes wrong. When you get old and your body starts to fail, you will be begging us for help.
I laughed and replied, "It's okay. I canceled the life insurance policy where you were the beneficiary." When Owen and Matthew were born, I had taken out life insurance policies with each of them as beneficiaries. I had canceled Owen's policy to pay the $20,000.
I got plenty of money from the cancellation, so don't worry.
Canceled? Are you serious?
Too bad. If I hadn't canceled it, you would have received $100,000 when I passed away.
No way!
Blame Madison. She threatened me to pay the $20,000.
In reality, the cancellation refund was about $50,000, so I had about $30,000 left, not a huge amount to shock Owen, but I didn't feel the need to tell him the exact amount. Satisfied with Owen's stunned silence, I hung up the phone. After that, it seemed Owen and Madison had a big fight. There was talk of divorce, but with issues over alimony and child support, they were living separately under the same roof. It felt like witnessing the downfall of money-hungry people. As for me, I started working part-time as a cleaner to avoid financially burdening Matthew and his wife with my old age. Welcomed warmly by my second son and his wife, and with 2 grandchildren, I am truly happy now.
How did you like this story? Please subscribe to my channel. See you in the next video.